Hey guys, it's Molly here again for another video, and as you can see, I'm not alone. I have a friend here. His name is James Rath. I'm gonna put his channel linked down below, and we also did a video together on his channel, so go check that out. It's all about guide dogs, and I know you guys love your guide dog videos, so go check that out, which is why Mr. Poopy's here, sleeping, taking a nap. It's been crazy busy at VidCon.
Yes.
It's been exhausting, so he's totally dead to the world. Any moment he can nap, he's been napping. So I'm so excited because this is my first time getting to collab with somebody in person and having another physical being who also makes YouTube videos in my YouTube video. So I'm very excited. Thank you for doing this with me. And today we're going to be talking about the in-between. So not being totally sighted and not being totally blind and living in that in-between space, because James is also legally blind, but he's not totally blind. And prior to me losing most of my vision when I was in grade 8, I was in the same place. I was legally blind but not totally blind, and I know it can be, you know, there's pros and cons. It can be confusing for people, so I just thought we'd have like a loose, open discussion, see where it goes. Nothing too structured. You guys know me. It's one of my rambling videos. So, I don't know. You were telling me about an experience that you had with your cane at the train station.
Yeah. Well, first, should we just like intro my, talk about like what I have disability-wise?
Right. Okay.
Okay.
So before we get into the discussion, we'll just let James kind of share with you guys what his vision's like and that kind of thing.
Yeah, so I have ocular albinism, which is basically a lack of pigment in my skin, hair, and eyes. That's why I'm technically albino, though my skin, I think, did develop a little bit of pigment, but not much. It's like done.
What color are your eyes?
They're blue and green.
Okay.
And my hair used to be like white. I used to have like white hair as a baby, like white blonde. Now it's just normally blonde. And I don't tan. I can't tan or anything like that. But and my skin's like sensitive to like sun. But
I try my best not to. Are you light sensitive as well?
With my eyes?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can be. So sometimes the light will blind out like the rest, like any other vision I have, and then sometimes like the darkness will blind. Like it's basically like there's no really in between. It's like if it's too light, nothing else is like visible to me, and then if it's too dark, nothing else is like visible on the outside.
Yeah. So you have to be like the perfect in between situation.
Yeah. So sometimes I have my sunglasses with me, like indoors, if it's like too bright, and then like,
if there's big windows or something.
Yeah. So.
Well, see, that's one of the things that I think is interesting about being in the in between, is that your vision changes moment to moment, day to day. You know, sometimes you're gonna have what I would call like a better vision day, and sometimes you're gonna have a worse vision day, and that can be confusing not only for yourself but for other people who know you, because it's, you know, one day you didn't need your sunglasses in this situation, and now today you do, and it, you know, people don't necessarily understand that, and it can be confusing.
Yeah, and a lot of that comes from the nystagmus part, which is kind of the root of that was caused from the ocular albinism.
Right.
And nystagmus can come from almost anything nowadays.
I mean, I know people, like my co-host for my TV show, Anthony, is totally sighted but has nystagmus.
Yeah. So and it can happen from a concussion, a head injury, anything. But I was born with it, or maybe it's Maybelline. I don't know. But
I love that.
yeah. So the nystagmus will oftentimes make my vision get kind of out of whack, especially in like newer situations, like at VidCon, like all these parties. That's why, you know, I have a sighted guide with me during this event, because there were people who I can recognize at times, and then depending on the light, the situation, the room, all of a sudden my eyes are like completely out of focus on someone who I've met before, and maybe even friends with. I won't even know that they're 5 feet in front of me.
Right, but like another time you could have seen them down the hall.
Yeah.
And it's just like because of the lighting or the situation you're in or whatever. And that's one of those things I would always try to explain to people when I still had more vision, is like in one moment I might recognize you, but in another I don't. And I'm not being rude if I don't say hi to you. It just probably means that I didn't see you.
Yeah.
And in another situation I might have been able to, but this one maybe not. So
definitely, for sure. Like, and I try to rely on the color. Like, I try to pay attention to the colors that people are wearing when I like see them up close, and then throughout the day, it's like if you change,
see the bright
I'm
red
like,
shirt.
sorry, won't notice you. So like, I love it when people wear dye their hair and like just wear goofy colors sometimes because it's just like
So easy. You're like,
it's
great, you have the
great. I'm
turquoise
like,
hair.
I can see the turquoise like out in the giant blur of
Yeah.
people, and it's like, okay, cool. And but yeah, so that's why I always keep telling Eddie, who's my steady guy this weekend. I'm just kind of following. He's always wearing his red hat, so I can always know where that
Yeah.
is. And then I'm like, don't wear all black. So yeah.
Don't blend in, please.
Yes.
And how often do you use your cane?
So my cane I use mainly at night,
Mm-hmm.
especially when I'm alone. Sometimes I even do it when I'm with someone. So like when I get off the subway or the metro and I'm walking downtown LA, there are things I will not notice like slabs and even sometimes those little tinier signs. And one thing I dislike is when restaurants in the city have like their little menus and things that says open right on the street, like or on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
I'm always hitting that or
Or
bumping
wet
into
floor
that.
signs? I hate wet floor signs.
Yeah, but then I'm gonna slip anyway.
Yeah.
So
You were telling me about a situation you ran into at a train station with your cane once.
yes, so because obviously I rely on the train a lot to get to different counties in Southern California, I'm often there, and there are people who I don't know the person worked there or it's just another regular there.
Mhm.
And one day I didn't have my cane, and so they noticed that, and probably a couple times I didn't have my cane. And then a few times I do have my cane, usually at night. There's like, weren't you just here? And they came up to me and they're like, why do you have did you like just lose your vision overnight or something? And I could have sworn I saw you with the cane 2 days ago, but now you didn't the next day, and now today you do. So it's just like they were
Yeah.
very confused, almost like trying to explain the situation. I am legally blind.
Sometimes I need it.
Yeah,
Sometimes I
and
don't. Yeah.
so it's sometimes hard for sighted people to understand because it's just like they categorize people who are blind
Yes.
by either having no sight whatsoever. They don't understand that even like people who are blind can still see
Exactly.
shadows. can
Like
still
I'm
see-
considered totally blind, but I still have light perception and
Yes.
some shadow perception. So people do forget that there's a spectrum, or people, it's not that they forget, they just don't know it in
Yeah.
general, that there's such a spectrum. No two blind people really see the same.
Mm-hmm.
No two visually impaired people see the same. We all have unique vision. And that's what can be difficult and hard for people to understand.
Yeah, especially and the cane is useful when even during the day when like the nystagmus is completely just doing its own thing, just moving everything, and I don't feel balanced at all. You
Right.
know, like I'm
Yeah, you
losing
get
my balance
dizzy or
and
yeah.
gets too much vertigo. So yeah, it's,
Is your depth perception affected?
yes.
Okay.
So it's pretty bad. Don't throw a ball at me, please.
Yeah. I'll avoid that.
Yeah. So but it wasn't though when I wasn't legally blind.
Okay.
During those 3 years, I was able to play like sports and enjoy them. And
So James had like a surgery.
yeah, so it was an experimental surgery. Basically, I dealt with a lot of bullying. I dealt with at the beginning of middle school when kids are realizing how different
Yes.
we are, and
Yeah.
they're like, okay.
We all know I've been there.
Yeah, so I tell my whole story on my channel about that, my depression arc of my life.
Yeah.
So basically, dealing with that, I wanted to be the same. I wanted to live like every other kid. So my
We
parents...
definitely, I think all of us with any kind
Some
of a
point.
major difference go
Yeah.
through that, like, why can't I just be sighted? Life would be so much easier if I was. And
Yeah.
it can be easy, like, when you have an obvious difference, like a disability, it can be easy to blame all of life's problems on your disability.
Correct.
Like, I know still to this day, if I go through a major life crisis, I'm not even crying about the thing I'm going through. I'm crying about my vision. Like, all of a sudden, it just for me becomes like, oh, I can blame my vision for this issue. And it's like, it's not that I'm trying to do that. It's just like that's how my mind takes it.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes the vision is, you
Yes,
know,
and
the
sometimes
way
it
you
really
do
is.
things
It is the root
differently.
of the problem.
But sometimes there are accommodations, there are ways around it,
Yeah.
and you just gotta accept that there's always another route, you know.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just gotta take that route. It might be harder, it might be longer to get to, but there's always like a way to get to the end goal. But yeah.
so you ended up having the surgery.
So I had this experimental surgery, and it improved my vision after being blinded for about a whole month after like just couldn't see anything at all, so that was
That's
interesting to get used to. But then all of a sudden, I could see better. It was going to 20/100, and then it was looking like it was going to 20/80, which is good, and that was right on the mark where it was going to be illegal for me to drive really soon, the more it improved. And that was right around the time when I was almost 16. So I was really excited. I was like, okay, maybe I can drive in Pennsylvania.
Right.
And so I was looking forward to that, but freshman year came, and a few weeks within freshman year, overnight, I suddenly just lost the results that I got from that surgery. And it was a scary process. It was scary to accept. It took my freshman year.
Because it's like so amazing that you got this back, and then it's
Yeah.
like, boom, it's taken away.
You know, I was battling this depression, trying to be this other person where I wasn't living blind. You know, I was trying not to live blind,
Right.
trying to embrace my disability at all. But eventually came to terms with it. It took probably throughout all of high school, probably up to my senior years, when I started really accepting who I am and really diving in and getting involved in the community and loving it. Like, the support is so much greater than even like allies who are sighted and able-bodied, because it's a different perspective that they understand. People who aren't sighted like me. And
I think it's very important to have friends or connections within your community, whatever your difference is, whether it's in the LGBTQ plus community or whether it be, you know, say you're... So the camera cut out, so there might be like a weird jump cut or like something,
all good.
but carry it on. So it's important to have people within your community, I think, and to embrace your own community. And for me, I have a group of blind girl friends that when I get together with them, we just can connect on a level that I'm never going to be able to connect with anybody who's sighted, even my mom and my dad. Despite how close they are with me and they've raised me through this whole situation, there's still things they're never going to understand or get the way other blind and visually impaired people will. So it's important to have that.
Definitely. And like, for me, I was involved in the YouTube community for a long time and finding different communities within that, but I was the only one who wasn't sighted, you know?
Right.
So it's like, I love that we all do this one hobby together, you know, filmmaking and just creating content, being creative, but I also have a different, untraditional way of filming, because the way that I use a camera and a viewfinder to improve my vision, and very unconventional with how I tell stories, and you know, I do it very accommodating on my end, but DIY, very independent, where I don't mind some help, but it's like I need trusted help. Like, people need to understand how I do it first, and I need to sort of train them in order to help me out with my films. So yeah, and it was great though, and like that I've been able to find YouTubers like you,
the disability community on
GD
YouTube,
and Tommy, and
it's like the disability community on YouTube is still so small, but that's, you know, why we're here at VidCon. We're trying to help the community grow and help other people with disabilities to be less afraid to start making videos too. And so it's great. It's so much fun being able to connect with you and with all the other YouTubers who have disabilities that are here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a really cool opportunity. So out of curiosity, before we wrap this up, what term do you like to use? Like, do you just say legally blind, visually impaired, partially sighted?
Yeah, I use legally blind because by like the government here in the United States, that's how they identify me and my vision. So for the benefits that I get, and for, you know, stuff like public transportation, and little perks that I get to get around like that. So I am legally blind with the acuity that I have, and you know, when I did have the surgery, I was considered visually impaired, and because visually impaired is sort of this like, it's not sighted, but it's
not legally blind.
It's not legally blind. But it's also still kind of weird because like some can drive, some cannot.
Yeah.
But
it's a spectrum, right?
Yep. It's just a large spectrum that sighted people just need to sort of understand better.
Which is why we're making this video.
Yeah. So we're all different, and we all have different acuities, and
it's about asking. You know, like don't be afraid.
And not just assuming.
Yeah, exactly. Ask and know the facts. Don't assume and be wrong.
Yep.
Like, I would much rather somebody just openly come up to me and ask the question. And I mean, I was telling you earlier an experience I had back when I still had more of my vision, where one of my teachers in school was like, Molly, you have to help him, he's blind. And I was like, I can't see it either. Like, yeah, I see more than him, but I still can't see well.
Yeah.
And so it's difficult. It's about asking questions and trying to understand what that person needs from you and what they might not need from you, and never be afraid to ask questions. That's the best way to figure it out and be the most accommodating person and helpful person to the person who needs that help. So.
Yeah.
Well, thank you
Great.
so much for joining me. Again, I mean, this was just a typical Molly video where it just rambles and goes into all sorts of different directions, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you did and you want to see more of James, definitely go check out his channel. He's wonderful. Go watch the video we made. Subscribe to both of us because we're awesome, I think.
I think
we're pretty great.
we're pretty great.
Yeah. I mean, we're biased, but we're great.
Yeah, that's sort of where I was coming from. Like, but hey,
Own it.
we have a dog here.
Yeah.
Dogs are great, and they give off this great vibe and makes everyone
Good
around them
vibes.
awesome.
Good vibes
So,
around here.
there
So
you go.
thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.